scandals happen all the time. The question is how these monsters respond to those scandals.
Hey there, I know it's been a long time since I've updated this channel. Some of you have even taken to making jokes about me being departed.
Our top story tonight.
Let me get this out of the way really quick. I liked this movie. The opening battle is my favorite. I haven't really had this much fun watching people get murdered on a beach since Steven Spielberg's little ode to post-traumatic stress, Saving Private Ryan, a video for its own time. Where was I? Oh yeah, this movie is rated PG-13. Edge of Tomorrow, I mean. Unlike the manga, it's for children and men of all ages, you know, like the manga. So, Edgeless of Tomorrow is a 2014 live-action movie based on a manga of not the same name, All You Need Is Kill. It tells the inspiring story of an aging TV personality forced to fight against his will. Hold on a second. So, I'm less into a sentence in describing the film synopsis, and I've already kind of touched on my two biggest problems with the show. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie, you should. This video and my commentary discuss this topic from the perspective of those who are at least familiar with the plot. In fact, this pretty much applies to all my reflections. I'm going to rag on the casting, especially of Cruz, because frankly I think a film adaptation of this manga would have worked much better with a younger cast. While the movie doubles and triples the ages of the characters, I think it would have made a more engaging and believable story if the film maintained the characters' young age, and, if necessary, slot the film into the young adult niche or category, if they needed to do so for marketing purposes. Which, in retrospect, I think they did. For example, Rita Vretsky in the manga was 16 when she joins the army, granted illegally, and is 19 to 22 during the events of the manga start. There are some changes in setting to help explain this. For one thing, humanity has been at war for 20 years in the manga, which means that there's been entire generations born that have only known the Mimic War. We don't know Kaiji's exact age, only that he is a young Japanese man and new volunteer soldier. So, in this case, why? Fucking whitewashing Kaji. My own insincere social justice trigger baiting aside, these two are my biggest issues with the film. I know, it's petty, but forgive my disappointment. Young adult storytelling in cinema, being the current cesspool that it is, needs all the help it can get. And here we have a really cool idea for a young adult film adaptation, but no, let's just scrap that perfectly good title for something duper generic and replace our young protagonist with a spineless middle-aged dude who also sucks at blackmailing people. Now, don't get me wrong, veering from the source material is by no means a sin by default, but it becomes a serious one when the changes being made make the story worse instead of better. Take Major Dickless, for example. If he's such a fucking superstar, why doesn't the sergeant or anyone else recognize him? I mean, I get it, most people don't exactly watch the news all the time, but nobody on the base recognizes this TV reporter screaming that he's a TV reporter? And I know that sometimes you need to cast celebrities in order to secure Hollywood capital, though there are plenty of celebrity actors who could have stepped up to the plate. But let's accept for a moment that keeping a young protagonist just wasn't an option, presumably because Hollywood prefers to keep the American young adult fiction genre stocked with tweenage trash, and the most premier protagonist choice was a middle-aged white dude, presumably because the 40 to 50-year-old crowd was a hotter demographic to market a movie full of balls-to-the-walls action, aliens, and just a little romance sprinkled in between instead of, I don't know, teenage boys?
Don't fuck with me! I have the power of God and anime on my side!
Wait, fine. What's the most believable and interesting way this fresh-faced rookie 50-year-old could be incorporated into the invasion? Maybe he could have been a deadbeat who got drafted, or a father who lost a son in the war and volunteered. Yeah, this could be really interesting, but no, he's a TV star. Gee, I wonder where they got that idea. I don't usually talk about the casting because it's not generally something I pay attention to. However, in this case, it was one of the first and most forward things that stood out to me, primarily because it really hurts the film for a few reasons. Let me give a quick disclaimer. I don't hate Tom Cruise, and I don't think he's a bad actor. He's a decent actor in my opinion, and even better at picking roles that work for him. He plays the generic hero stereotype decently, and given the right occasion can be really funny. I'm also no TMZ analyst, but I personally don't think Tom Cruise holds the kind of star power film execs seem to think he does. And as I touched on before, I really think this movie was marketed poorly. The story, the setting, the plot, and the romance as presented in the film would have worked better with a younger cast and really lend themselves to a more casual young adult vibe in the film. And even if the film maintained the more dark setting of the manga, I think casting the film to better reflect the younger demographic could have resulted in a breakthrough in manga-based adaptations for Western audiences, which I believe will happen in the near future. Additionally, keeping the title would have helped tie the film to the better-known manga, not to mention All You Need Is Kill sounds cooler and certainly more original than Edge of Tomorrow. In terms of theme, I think the film bounced around between quirky humor with serious moments but never really cemented its tone. Fluctuating tone was a large issue with this film, so I will talk about this for a bit. Aspects like the mad scientist and the concept of the brain bug that instantly results in the war ending if killed prevented the film from exhibiting the sense of desperation and hopelessness the story's setting actually involves. I felt a greater sense of depression and uncertainty reading the first few pages of the manga than I did in the entire run-through of this movie, partly because the recognizable cast is one of the fastest ways of building plot armor. Again, exceptions, but I mean, no one really believes that Tom Cruise is gonna die. I mean, he does, like a lot, but then he comes back to life. My point is, an important element of any desperate situation is uncertainty. To take a seemingly far-removed example, at the beginning of The Lord of the Rings, we don't really know if Frodo or any of these characters played at the time by no-name actors would survive, so this sense of foreboding wasn't jeopardized by a celebrity. This story setting involving a long-standing conflict that is slowly winding to a bitter and destructive end is present in many shows and expressed to varying degrees of success. An important note in this successful expression is consistent tone. Considering my first example, certain funny scenes that decrease the tension of the moment in unrealistic ways hurt the sense of mortal danger and foreboding atmosphere while causing massive tonal shifts, and personally I do hold this against the series. Similarly, Edge of Tomorrow dilutes its tone by certain elements, including the infamous blow up this one control-y thing to make everything shut down Deus Ex Machina shit. The original source material does have a similar dynamic, but the way the film wraps everything up in a nice little package almost completely negates the theme of sacrifice present in the original story. Instead, the film plays it safe with a popcorn flick feel and happy ending compared to the more bittersweet conclusion of the original. All that being said, I've spent a good deal of time complaining about the title and the casting choice primarily because the movie is actually pretty good. I felt the plot held itself relatively competently together, especially for a time-traveling story. In addition, not all the departures from the manga are bad. I think the mech suits, and especially the alien designs, were practically superior and very creative. Visually, the film has one of the most entertaining sci-fi battles I've seen to date, and Emily Blunt is just adorable to look at. In short, it's a good movie. I just wish it was more, mostly for its own sake. So let me know in the comments, did I miss the mark completely regarding the manga? What kind of manga or anime stories would you like to see adapted in Western media? Let me know in the comments section below, like I give a shit. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry I haven't been putting out a lot of content, what with work and school, but between all that, I found a little time to put something together for a little show.